You'd think wrestlers would be very aware of death-like experiences by partaking in such a dangerous sport, but when it's your job, it can be easy to ignore. However, Ric Flair had a terrible experience after kidney failure, and it made him look at his life in a different light. In this video, we'll be taking a look at Ric Flair's near-death experience, so stay tuned. First off, Ric Flair talks about kidney failure that almost cost him his life. While Ric Flair has had a great career overall, he still had to deal with his fair share of injuries. There were several occasions when he scared fans due to his health. The former wrestler opened up about when he suffered a major health issue regarding kidney failure and other complications in his appearance on the Pivot podcast. Flair revealed his chances of surviving were so low that the WWE had already prepared a memorial video for him. He said he woke up in the ICU 31 days later and then for the next 13 days was on life support. He lost all his memory for 6 months. Of course, Rick could remember what happened after, but he couldn't recall any past details. The doctors decided it was best to operate on him, and while it was in his best interest, the chances of survival were only 5%. This led to the WWE making a video package for him just in case. He mentioned how this made him reevaluate his entire life. Rick then decided to enjoy his life a little more because at the end of the day, as long as no one's being hurt by his actions, it's a good idea to have fun. So he wasn't going to stop because after spending nearly a year worrying you'll die and get to understand life, that is, only after you start to get over the anxiety of being so sick you're constantly on the verge of death, once you start to feel comfortable again, things constantly get better from there. Next up, Ric Flair will go down in history as an all-time great. Many wrestlers are known even by those who've never watched the WWE. Ric Flair is one of those. The WWE Hall of Famer is known to be one of the best wrestlers to have ever set foot in the ring and is famous for the many awards he's earned. While he's also known for the long list of health problems over his career, the wrestler who's also commonly known as the Nature Boy has secured many WWE achievements. Rick has won a total of 16 world titles across several promotions. The only other wrestler that achieved such a feat is John Cena, and Rick's career inside the ring spanned over 50 years. During this time, the WWE wasn't the only promotion he took by storm. NWA, Impact, and WCW and several other promotions were met with one of the most talented wrestlers on their stage. Not to mention, he made it to the Hall of Fame 2 times. He was first inducted for his career with the class of 2008 and then in 2012 as part of the Four Horsemen. Rick was also awarded the PWI Wrestler of the Year Award 6 times, whereas the Wrestler of the Year Award by Wrestling Observer Newsletter was given to him 8 times. The award itself was named after Lou Thesz and Rick. Rick has left his mark on the wrestling world, and people were no doubt in shock after hearing how close they'd been to losing the WWE legend. Thirdly, how his son Reed's death affected him and his health. Pretty much everyone knows how it feels to lose a close family member, and it isn't a feeling you ever want to feel again. Rick's son Reed Flair was also a wrestler, and in the same interview where he shared his near-death experience, he talked about his son's death. The wrestler quit working out or doing anything else he should have been. He tried, of course, but couldn't just shake it and continue living with himself. Rick also reminisced about his parenting skills, wondering if maybe he'd pushed his children a bit too far. He gave Ashley as an example, who was naturally talented and liked everyone who played sports or had an interest in them, jumping at the chance. Many people wondered if Rick blamed himself for Reed's death because he hadn't taken his son to the hospital immediately, and when he was asked this, the former wrestler answered that it was entirely possible he was the one to blame for his death, but he didn't exactly blame himself for it. Still, he thinks about him every day, even after he's finally started to leave behind his unhealthy habits. Finally, Ric Flair gave his opinion on Drew McIntyre losing his championship bid. In the first WWE Stadium show's main event in the United Kingdom, many fans expected Drew McIntyre to finally end the 700-plus day reign of the head of the table and capture the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. But things didn't turn out how fans had hoped. After Solo Sikoa, who was making his debut on the main roster, interfered, Roman Reigns walked out of the Clash at the Castle with the belts, leaving many fans feeling like a mistake may have been made. Ric Flair said while speaking on his To Be the Man podcast that the timing may not have been the best for McIntyre, especially with the match he expects WWE to be building towards. He said that it's not that Drew didn't deserve to win, but if the company hopes for a match between The Rock and Roman, then the words heavyweight championship are very important in that match. While continuing, Flair made it clear that he thought the Scottish Warrior was great and that he didn't lose anything from the way the match panned out. Flair also said that Drew could very easily carry the belt and be a good champion too, but the company was working towards a match between The Rock and Roman. Now, in other news, first off, Dutch Mantell mentions he would be willing to return to WWE if they offered. Dutch Mantell, the former WWE manager, recently acknowledged he'd be willing to work with the company again if they invited him back. Mantell is a true wrestling veteran who has worked with WCW, TNA, WWE, NWA, Mid-Atlantic, Memphis, and Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He last worked for the sports media giant back in 2013 when he worked as a mouthpiece for Jack Swagger. He was later released in 2016. On a recent episode of Storytime with Dutch Mantell, he said that he would consider working with Triple H if he asked him. He said he wouldn't be able to play an on-screen role, but he is open to coaching some of the newer talents and sharing his ideas with the creative team. Next up, Ric Flair might be played by Bradley Cooper in his biopic. Ric Flair, the two-time WWE Hall of Famer, is rumored to be receiving his own biopic in the near future that will encompass his interesting lifestyle and celebrated pro wrestling career. Considering the star power of Flair's name, an equally big star must play his role. One of the options is Bradley Cooper, a 9-time Academy Award nominee. Flair revealed while talking on his To Be the Man podcast that Cooper is in the running to be the Nature Boy, but nothing has been made official yet. Flair said that he knows they've talked to Bradley Cooper, but that's it, and it hasn't been confirmed yet. The former wrestler said that although it's not confirmed, he hopes Bradley Cooper will play him in the movie. Finally, Maxwell Jacob Friedman makes return and name drops big people. Recently, Maxwell Jacob Friedman made a return to AEW television on Dynamite, and soon he was name dropping Triple H, Cody Rhodes, and WWE co-CEO Nick Khan. This is considered a pretty standard tactic for that side of the modern wrestling war. From WWE's side, it is possible to count on one hand the number of mentions of All Elite Wrestling. They come up outside interviews and on social media pretty often, but not on Raw or SmackDown. With their upstart rivals going through an embarrassing ordeal that could potentially deal significant damage to the company, WWE stuck to that policy, but they couldn't avoid a little dig. Michael Cole said regarding Ronda Rousey on screen that Rousey has been disciplined internally and results won't be made public. He said that sources told him WWE official Adam Pearce got carried away and aired dirty laundry publicly, hence the scene investigation took place. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think of Ric Flair's life-changing experience and how he dealt with his son's death? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. See you in the next one.